Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara Zoner.
And I'm John Davis.
Welcome to Spirit Cafe.
Come in, sit down, and
grab a cup of love.
A Spirituality Without the Guilt podcast. Hey guys, John Davis here, and I am very excited today. But before I bring in and introduce our guest, let me first welcome my co-host in crime, the lovely Tamara Zoner. How are you today, Tamara?
Very well, John. How are you?
I am doing good. I am doing great. I'm really excited. I've been cyber stalking our guest today for a while on her YouTube channel.
It's not an unusual activity for you.
Yeah. I cyber stalk everybody, right? And I'm really excited because as I was saying before we got on the air, I've known a lot of psychics in my years of doing metaphysical work, and there's very few who are humble. And because what happens is, you when you start getting information, you start being accurate, it can become an ego trap. It can become a total ego trap. And as I watched Kim over the past couple of years now, she's really not that. She's very, very humble, very, very very open and generous with her sharing, not only herself but getting information from others and getting validation from others. So it's really kind of a really cool thing. She's also very accurate, which I kind of like as well. So that being said, I'm going to jump right over to Kim. Hello, Kim. How are you today? Thank you for being here.
Hello, John. Hello, Tamara. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good.
Great. Well, we are just thrilled that you're here. Everything I just said, everything is completely true. I literally have been all through your stuff. I was really amazed the other day when I saw the video of the string thing. That was kind of cool. So first of all, before we get into that, why don't you tell everyone all about who Kim Carey is and what Intuitiview is and how you came to do this kind of work.
Okay. Well, I consider myself an intuitive empath. I feel things mostly. I feel like I do have some clairaudience and clairvoyance. In the beginning, I got a lot of information through movies and television clips. My guides would give me movie and television clips, and it warmed me up because right away, it wasn't scary. It wasn't weird. It was the catalog that I had in my head that was so big. Movies and television, that's me. So they would give me these movies and television clips, and right away it would give me some kind of way to interpret. And I didn't realize right away that's what was happening. But as we got into the political climate over the last few years, I got a repeated message. This was before I started my YouTube channel, that the current president would go, the former guy would go, and the country would survive. And I wanted to get this message out because it kept coming to me. And I tried to get my sister to start a YouTube channel, but she was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do this, but to my guides, some people say angels, spirits, guides, whatever you want to say, it's just language. I said, I'll do this, but you have to have my back. Meaning, I'll do it, but I want it to be as good an experience as it can be, and keep giving me information. So I started the channel, and basically right away, I got so many people saying, what you're saying is resonating with me. What you're saying is making me feel calmer. And so what I promised to do was give little predictions along the way until we were kind of out of the what we were in. And that way they would know that the big prediction was true. And so that's what I did. And I just kind of started doing my little predictions, and my guides, I consider myself the telephone. And when you're talking about being humble, I just consider myself the telephone. So I really do feel like I'm just hand giving the information. I'm really just the conduit. And so, yeah, that's, and I was going to say though, John, is that a lot of people think that when you think of ego, the only thing you think of is kind of the inflated ego, that big kind of, I'm so great. I'm so wonderful. And I do have an ego, but mine takes the form of, can I do this? Is this right? Am I sure this is right? That kind of thing. It's more of an unsureness that,
Right.
and so I've had to really build that trust with my guides, the information they give, but
Right.
that's the form my ego takes. So maybe it's not as, out there as, that the inflated ego, but it's still there. We all have an ego. So
you're absolutely right that most people, when you say the word ego, they think of the inflated ego. Ego simply means self-awareness, and
right.
And it's a matter of, is your ego in balance? Is it too far where you give too much of yourself away, or you think too much of yourself? And it's about balance. And one of the things that I like about your channel is that it you're saying, well, tell me what you're getting too, so I can get some information from you guys as well. And it's more of a give and change exchange, really. Now you say you were called to do this work because of the political climate. Are you solely a political reader or intuitive?
No, I think it was just the thing that because I'm doing things a little differently now, but I still do political predictions. But I think that's what just got me kind of to put my foot in to this arena, because I was very, very hesitant. I can't tell you how hesitant I was. It's very scary to come out and with this kind of thing, as I'm sure you both know. Because you don't want people to think you're weird or you're crazy or whatever. And I come from a very,
my hand is up.
Yeah, I come from a very a conservative, actually a Mormon background.
Oh, really?
So this was a big shift for me. I had not been in the church for quite a while, but still I have a lot of family. A lot of people know me as being in that kind of dogmatic kind of religion thing. And when I stepped out of that, a whole new world opened up, which is great, but not everybody is prepared for that. So, it's a scary thing though, to put yourself out there and yeah. So, what was your question?
You actually answered it, so you're good.
I thought I did, but I was like, wait a minute, am I off? What am I doing?
Well, when did it start for you, Kim? I'm curious to hear, when did you first become aware that you had these gifts? How old were you? What was going on in your life? And then what was your process of learning to trust it?
Well, thinking back, it's interesting because when I was going to church, I would have conversations with, what I would, say, God, Jesus. I would have conversations and I would say, I'm having this problem. Can you help me? Basically. And then I'd go to church that Sunday and there'd be a lesson there that was exactly what I was asking, or there'd be somebody would say something to me that would answer my question. So I already had this kind of conversation going. I just put different language to it. And that's really all it is, but I was very open. And I think that is really the key to so much of this. Being open and being trusting are the two things that are the most important. But so through my life, I had, little things that were just weird or coincidental, but our human brain comes in and says, oh, that's just a coincidence, or that's really, but now thinking back, that's when I'm like, oh, I got that. And I knew that, and that was coming. And so it's kind of hard to say when it began, because I think we're all intuitive. That's why I use that word intuitive rather than psychic, because I think people can relate to the word intuitive a lot more. They can relate to, I've had intuitive experiences before, but I don't think I've ever had a psychic experience. So they can't really, it's just a more relatable term. But I think that's what I was going to say, was that since then I've been doing classes teaching people how to do this, because I felt like as I got more involved that I really wanted to demystify this a little bit, because people, and you say gifts, and they are gifts, but everybody has them. They're just different for everyone. And it really is a matter of finding out how spirit or your guides or angels or whatever you want to say, how they are connecting with you, how they're talking to you. Everybody's different. And everybody has a different sensitivity too. Some people are very sensitive, and some people it takes a little while to get the feel for what's happening. I would say a big breakthrough, though, to answer your question, Tamara, was that when my father passed away, I had a very loud premonition before he passed away that he was going to not be here next year. That was my premonition, was he's not going to be here. And I kept thinking, oh, what a horrible thought to think. Why am I thinking that? But it was a message. And it was a very delicate message, but it was letting me know you have limited time. And so when he passed away, it's the only time I've ever seen a spirit with my eyes, but he appeared in my bedroom. So that was a kind of a breakthrough, because I think when you can see something with your own eyes, even though it should be, all faith, and you can feel things and you kind of know stuff, but when you see it with your own eyes, it's something different. And that's, John, we were talking about the videos I put up with the string thing and the orbs and stuff. It's because it makes a difference to people that are right teetering on the edge of, is there something? When you see something with your eyes, you can't deny it really anymore. Maybe you don't know exactly what it is, but you can't deny it.
I completely agree with that. And I have also seen things and seen people who've passed, and had my cousin who committed suicide come back and deliver a message to me to deliver to my aunt for him from the other side.
Oh, wow.
And so I've had some pretty big experience. So I understand the idea of actually seeing it. Now the idea of gifts, I think gifts are things that we give to ourselves. And so when I say gift, when you're gifted, you're someone who has gifted yourself and you've accepted the gifts. But I think all of us have the gifts. I completely agree with you there. I just think I think a lot of people, when you look into spirituality and dogmatic religions, there's a correlation of fear in there. And I think that the reason people don't open to their talents, their intuitive nature, is because of their fear, their judgments of others, what they're going to think of, people are going to think of them, or things of that nature. Do you think that because of your Mormon upbringing, which, by the way, I've known a lot of Mormons in my life, and they have always been the nicest people.
Yeah, they are the nicest people.
I mean, they're like Canadians.
They really are. They're very nice people. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right? And so, do you think that kindness is sort of, there's less fear there? Do you think that the Mormon base kind of gave you the ability to be a little bit more open?
I mean, yes, in some ways. I mean, like I said, I mean, yes and no, because there was that very much a faith-based, very positive outlook on life with the Mormon religion. But I was also told that what I do now, it's the work of the devil, or it's not,
right, sure.
it's somehow, how would you be getting messages from God? How would you be getting messages from, even though they do pray and stuff. So it's always very strange to me that people don't see praying as basically that's calling out to the other side, right? When you pray,
right.
That's the same exact thing. Or meditating, that kind of thing. You're calling something else in, and or you're shifting consciousness, as Eckhart Tolle would say. But there's I think there's a lot of it's both. There was that openness, but also there was some fear there, because, except that, to be honest, John and Tamara, I deep down I knew that was not right. That it wasn't bad or negative. Knock on wood, I've never had a negative spirit experience. I don't want one, but I've never had one. I've always I think it's so much to do with intention. I think if your intention is to be positive, to give positive messages, to give loving messages, that's what happens. I think if you want to dwell in a different kind of vibration thing and you want to do that, you have to call that up. You have to really work at it and try to have that happen. I think that this kind of thing is mostly positive. It just is. I think of spirit and the spirit realm as being a positive, loving place. So.
Oh, I completely agree. And
we definitely both agree. This is one of the things we talk about all the time, is reconciling religious upbringing with what we actually feel is true.
Right.
Because it doesn't align, right? What we were taught in a church or whatever building you were taught in.
Well, and also that with that, also it has its place, right? Because not everybody is ready to kind of step into a more open, more fluid spiritual life. Some people need that really guarded kind of rigid, structured, exactly that
information
kind of
fed
stuff
to them instead of feeling it.
It has its place for sure. Yeah, people are not ready. That's okay. That's okay. Right. It's where they are, you know.
I remember when I tell a story often about my mom. When I turned 18, my mom had her master's degree in liturgy. It was head of the liturgical doctrine at our Catholic Church. And when I turned 18, she said, "John, spirituality is a personal journey. You need to go find your own beliefs." And I went and I traveled through India, and I did all kinds of travel and study and got a lot of book learning. But what I found really interesting was that when you look at all of them, like you set them all down on one table, they all have correlations. They all match. You know, love is in all of them, fear is in all of them. Buddha says, you know, the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. Krishna said you are the culmination of your thought, right? And Buddha says what you think you become, you create your world. You know, the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So your idea about the concepts of when they focus on fear or the spirituality being a negative or of the devil, then that's what they're going to see, because that's what they're focused on. They're creating that into their experience. And it's really fascinating because like you, all of my experiences have been very positive. Some of them have been frightening in the enormity of them, because it's like something big happened. You go, whoa, what was that? You know, kind of freaks you out. But when you look at it, it was a total positive, you know, and I find that just totally a unique perspective. But so now that you're doing this work that you do now, the YouTube channel has been very good. And you're not doing like private readings now, or are you?
Oh yeah, I've been doing private readings for that. Again, that was another like step that I had to get through at the beginning of the channel, because I had people asking me, would you do a private reading? And I finally did. So I've been doing them for about 3 years now.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. I mean, for a while there, you took a little break, I thought.
I did. So. Yeah, I'll take a little break, and next year I won't be doing as many because I'll be focusing on classes more. I really, you know, I it's hard because I have an issue or problem when people get addicted to psychics a little bit, or they can get very dependent in a way, and I don't want that to happen with me. So it's like, I want to teach you how to do this, and when you want to check in and validate stuff once or twice a year is plenty. It really is. It's plenty.
I totally get that, because that's exactly why I stopped talking at metaphysical centers and spiritual centers, because they would get so involved in who, you know, I have a past life story, which is, you know, documented with hypnoregressions and everything. And I would come and speak, and they would get so trapped into the past life that they weren't listening to what I was teaching. It got to the point where it was so detrimental to them, in my opinion, because they weren't learning anything. They were just getting focused on, oh, John's coming back. So, and it was just, so I totally get where you're going. You don't want to become their crutch. You want to become the thing that empowers them.
Right.
Right. So I totally get
Right.
that. So where does Intuitiview go from here?
Um, I, I don't know, because I do still do politics, because it's an interest of mine. I find it interesting, and I think that there's a lot going on right now that people are curious about, and I think, well, I've got a telephone, so if you want to know, I guess I can ask. But I've been also branching out and doing kind of interviews with different kinds of people and different kinds of spiritual, arenas. People, like one woman that had an NDE, and I talked to, people that have written books and things like that. And so I feel like I want it to be kind of half and half, like kind of half just spirituality in general and kind of those topics, and then predictions also, but not having that be just the focus. And I have to say, it's a hard transition, because when people are wanting to know, or they're nervous about something, of course you put up a video about that and it's going to get a lot of attention. But I don't always think that's the best thing. Sometimes I think, that we need to focus on the positive, because then, well, that's Tamara, right? Now, that's probably your thing, where you focus on more positive things and more positive things happen. And
absolutely.
So I try not to dwell like in the negative stuff that's happening, but I also understand people's curiosity and their fear. And I know that my spirit guides are very good about being very gentle in the way that they put things. Right before the pandemic, I got a very clear message that we were going to be seeing groups of people and groups of animals leaving the earth. And you would think that you'd be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But it was so like reassuring, and like, it's okay. Things are going to be happening. And this is a predetermined kind of, some people will be going through these experiences from the other side, and some people will be here. And it was a decision that they made before they came here, that if this stuff goes down, I want to be here. I don't want to be here. So it was a predetermined kind of plan. And I'm sorry if your viewers aren't ready for this. I don't know what kind of things they're ready for, but that was the message that I got. And then sure enough, we started to see kind of an uptick in the natural disasters, an uptick in, of course, COVID was a huge one, but it happened within a couple of months. This started to happen, but they're very good about being very, very straightforward, but also very gentle about things, not freaking people out. They always kind of cover it with being reassuring. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is Tamara. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Well, and it's, really it's because people don't realize that that's how we're built, right? We're built to focus on the negative. And if we want more positive in our lives, we have to actually retrain our neural pathways, our brains, to see more of the positive. Some of us have, more positivity just built in genetically. I kind of came in smiling, but not everybody does. And so if we want to experience more joy and happiness, then we have to actually start to look for it, so that that's what we're seeing more of. And until people know that, they just are like, oh no, life is horrible, everything's bad. No, it's not. You just have to start looking for the good. And then the more you look for it, the more you'll see it.
Right. I find it fascinating.
So
I very much like Tamara, I am a smiler. I walk through life, I smile. I go to the grocery store, I'm smiling. What I have begun to notice is that when I'm walking in with a smile on my face, people will do a double take and then smile right? They're like, whoa, someone's smiling in the world. What the heck's that about? Right. And I think that your story, the thing about being on the other side at this time, and the plan before you came, and all, we totally are there. We got that story, right?
Okay.
We're with you. But I think that some of us are here specifically to be the smile in the world during these times, and to be that place where people can lean into and go, oh, I feel better here.
Sure.
If God is love, as they say, then love is a feeling. Love is security and safety. And sometimes people are meant to walk through this world being that security and safety. Well, that's the interesting thing about your channel. When I watch your channel, I watch lots of different channels just because I'm fascinated by metaphysics and spirituality in general. So I love to see, readers and psychics and predictions. I find them interesting. I find some people who I watch them and I see them putting too much of their own, what they want to happen into it rather than what they're reading per se. But that's not what I get from you. What I get from you is you're like, well, this is what I'm getting. I'm kind of getting this thing, and I don't know what it means, but you tell me if you got anything. And to me, that's so much more real, and it's so much more approachable. It's so much more accessible. When I there's another reader that I and I say reader, that's the wrong word. Another intuitive that I watch from, and she's a reader. She does read tarot cards, but from Australia, who is very political, and she's very, very blunt about her political views, and she's very strong about it, right? But when she reads, it just comes across as right for some reason, right? And so you're like, I'm not so sure I can buy in as much to hers as yours because of the fact that she kind of preconceives that she already feels this way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's it kind of hurts. Do you find that intuitives in general can alter what they're getting strictly by their belief?
I think, I think sometimes, especially, it's a very hard thing to separate that bias that you have sometimes. I'm sure that I've done readings where it's played a part. I'm sure it has. I mean, I'm human, right? We're human beings. We're not these, robots. So I'm sure that I'm sure it's happened to me. I'm sure it happens to people all the time. You try your hardest. I mean, that's the thing I can always just let people know is that I'm trying my best. I really am. And I always will. And I'll always make sure I prepare correctly and I do the things that I'm supposed to do to get an accurate read. But I also am very honest about the fact that there isn't a 100% accurate psychic ever. There probably never will be because we're human beings. And I actually think that it's part of keeping what in the Bible would have been seers, keeping them humble, because, if you walk around thinking everything and everything that's going to happen and everything about everything, I mean, how could you be a normal person with it? It just doesn't make sense. So I actually think it kind of is built in to make us be a little humble about this stuff and not get, carried away with thinking we know everything. Right. You're right. I do ask people though, what do you think? Because, and that's part of the reason is because if I am being biased, I want to hear what they say. And sometimes what they say is like, oh, that resonates with me. Actually, yeah. I think that could be right. So, and it keeps people, aware that they have this ability too. It isn't one person or just a few, special people. We all come with some kind of line of communication there. We just have to figure out how we're getting it because we're individuals. So we're all getting it differently, different ways, different, some people are very sensitive to it. Some people are not, so it's just figuring it out.
And it seems like spirit talks to you in the way that it talks to Tamara and I as well, with movie quotes and visuals from films. We're film people. We're movie people. We constantly are quoting film stuff. So
or so we're song totally lyrics, right or
Actually, yeah. I think we did some just before you came on. There was some movie quotes that came out.
I might have been quoting Kermit, but yeah.
There you go. So I'm fascinated by that. I'm also fascinated by your technique of doodling or sketching to I guess distract your mind or something. I maybe I'm reading that wrong.
It's something that I found I could do that would get me in that kind of meditative state to read. That really is what you're doing. You're kind of clearing your mind of thoughts, or you're, as you know, or you're making space, as I like to say, between thoughts, so that you can get the messages in. But it was a quick way of doing that. I was finding it hard to, when I first started the channel, I would meditate and do these long sessions and get information, and then I would share the information I got. And I just found it was strange. I wanted to involve them in the process. So I was trying to figure out a way, and that just happened. I mean, I can't even remember how or why it happened, but it just was a technique I found to be able to get into that meditative state quickly and more easily. I could stay in it. And that way I could involve them in the process, so they could see that it's not some witchy thing or whatever woo-woo thing, that it really is, it's a type of concentration. And then, you know, the human part of you has to interpret. You have to interpret what you get. And a lot of that I do with feelings. I get a lot of feelings. So I get a word, I'll go to the feeling about the word, and then it will give me more information. It's very, you know, it's learnable, you know, it's very, it really is accessible to everybody, but it's just something you learn.
Right. And your daughter is also intuitive. Yes. Cassie. She's
very intuitive. She's a really good channel. She can channel really, really well. We used to sit when she was at home. She's in film. So she's a filmmaker now. She's in England right now. But we would sit with my sisters, and I would sit and just call up famous people from, I don't know if that's misusing your gift, but
not at all.
Why not? If you can talk to John Lennon,
if you can't, why not?
Right.
Well, but and on that, you know, so obviously intuitiveness is in your family, but we all know in your household the most intuitive one is Lucy.
Yes,
Lucy.
She's sleeping right now. So
she's sleeping right now. Lucy's Tamara. Lucy's the dog.
Oh, okay. Lucy the dog.
If you watch the channel, you get to learn all about Lucy and Cassie all the way through.
All right, I'm gonna have to start. I see. You know that I try to keep clean of things, especially when I'm meeting someone new. I don't actually like to know much about them because I want to be present and learn from you in this moment, right? And see who you are. And let all that come through. Well, your dog's sleeping, my cat's on my lap sleeping.
Yeah.
And after this thing's done, I'm going to be sleeping, so it's okay.
Good. Yeah. So tell us about the classes that you're going to be offering.
Well, so I have recorded classes that are on my website, that intuitiview@gmail.com, and it's a really good starting place. It starts at the very, very beginning about picking a meditative practice. So it's really, really starting at the very, very beginning. If you're even slightly interested, that's where you would probably start. And that's 3 classes. And then there's an add-on class that answers a bunch of questions that might come up. And those are just, they're you know, you can do them as you want. They're recorded, so you just always have them. You can just do them as you like. And then I have an intuitive circle, which are classes I'm doing with Debbie from Free Bird Spirit. She has a channel called Free Bird Spirit, and we do them together. And those have been so much fun. They're Zoom classes, so they're live, and we teach as we go, and we do exercises together, and it's so much fun. We just finished our beginning courses, but we're going to be starting the next kind of the intermediate. It's all about medium work at the end of September. So if you took my recorded classes, and you could start that one and be perfectly fine. But those are starting, and then we'll probably go back and do the beginning ones again. And, you know, it's been a blast. I mean, it's just, it's so much fun. And it's so, you know, I was a preschool teacher for about 15 years. So I consider myself kind of a teacher first. That's kind of my first thing. But to see the light go on in people, like, oh my gosh, I got this message, or I can't believe I did it, or what. It's just so fun and so exciting to see that realization come over them, that they have this, they can do this too.
Wow.
Love it. You definitely light up when you talk about that. So
Yeah,
that's definitely your passion shining through there, is that teaching.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful.
So Kim, how do people get a hold of you, and where do you want them to go find you, and all that kind of stuff?
They can watch the channel. That's Intuitiview. It's all one word. And that's on YouTube. They can also go to Intuitiview.com, which is the website that has information about readings and things like that. I'm opening up readings for 2022 on September 1st. So if people want to get a reading, then they can. And then you can email me if there's some reason you want to email me at intuitiview@gmail.com. People email me all the time with the funniest things. I don't know why. It's fine. I mean, it's fine, but it's just funny that people want to email me. I'm like, that's so okay.
And there's that humble nature.
I have this, yeah, exactly.
Well, this has been an absolute joy. I have been looking forward to this because I have been such a big fan, and really excited to see where you go from here on out. Tamara, you want to send us out of this thing?
Sure. Thank you, John, for being such a wonderful host and for bringing Kim on. This has been such an interesting, enlightening conversation. And now I'll be going to check out all your videos and probably watch a few over lunch. And who knows, maybe I'll take your self-paced class, because it's definitely a time in my life that I'm opening. So all of you listeners out there, or viewers, if you're on YouTube, check out Kim Carey and Intuitiview and tell us what you thought of this episode. And hey, you can email us too. We like funny emails. So ask your questions, give us your comments, and let us know what other topics you'd love to hear. Thank you, everyone. We're always grateful and appreciative, and go create yourselves amazing days.
Thank you for joining us at Spirit Cafe, a place where you can safely explore your spirituality without the guilt or dogma of religion. Leave all comments and suggestions on the Spirit Cafe podcast Facebook page.